Hey, can I ask you something? How much of what's stressing you out right now is actually yours to carry? Think about it. Is it someone else's opinion? Someone else's mistake? Maybe it's something from the past that still echoes in your head. Or worse, something that hasn't even happened yet, but you're already rehearsing it, worrying about it like it's a scene from a play you're starring in tomorrow. Here's the hard truth, and it's not easy to swallow. The more time you spend trying to manage the uncontrollable, the more power you give it over your peace. And in the end, it's not the chaos around you that breaks you. It's the chaos inside you, the noise you never learned how to silence. This is where Stoicism begins. Not in ancient books or marble statues, but right here, where the illusion ends. And that illusion is control. Not the healthy kind. Not the kind that helps you wake up early, pay your bills, take care of your body, stay accountable. That kind of control is discipline, and it's good. No, I'm talking about the kind of control that quietly bleeds you dry, while you chase outcomes that were never really yours to hold. The world tells you to be on top of everything. Fix this. Manage that. Stay 5 steps ahead. But nobody ever tells you what to do when life doesn't listen. Nobody prepares you for that feeling when everything's slipping, and the only thing you can do is hold your breath and try not to drown. That's where Stoicism comes in. Not as a theory, not as some detached philosophy for people in togas, but as a mindset shift. As a way of returning to what's real. To what's yours. To what actually matters. And let me say this, Stoicism is not about becoming cold. It's not about shutting down or pretending you don't care. It's about becoming clear. Clear about where your influence ends and where your peace begins. So if you've been stretched thin lately, if you've been carrying emotional weight that was never yours to carry, or if you're just tired of outsourcing your happiness to things you can't control, stay with me. This isn't just some feel-good talk. This is real. This is the shift that could change how you live, how you respond, and how free you actually feel. And if this resonates, if it stirs something in you, something steady and grounded beneath the noise of life, consider sticking around. Consider subscribing, not just to the channel, but to this space we're building. A space for clarity, for intention. Because here's the paradox. The harder we try to control everything, the heavier life starts to feel. You know that tight grip you get when you're trying to manage every person, every plan, every outcome? Like if you let go even for a second, everything will fall apart? And yet, the more we grip, the more things seem to slip right through our fingers. And what's left behind? Not peace, not strength, just exhaustion. That gnawing sense that maybe we're not doing enough, that we're not enough, unless everything unfolds exactly how we planned. But that pressure, that crushing feeling, it doesn't come from life. It comes from us, from the expectations we carry, from the stories we tell ourselves about how things should be. Here's something you don't hear enough. Perfection is a moving target. Just when you think you've got things lined up, life swerves. A plan falls apart. A person lets you down. A door you thought was open slams shut. And suddenly, you're left clinging to a version of control that never really existed in the first place. It's sneaky, this kind of control. It wears the mask of responsibility, of strategy. But what it really is fear. Dressed up in a suit and tie. We tell ourselves that worrying is preparation, that anxiety is being alert, that planning for every possible disaster is just being smart. But as Carl Jung once said, what you resist persists. And more often than not, what we're really doing is resisting uncertainty. We don't fear reality, we fear not knowing what it might bring. We fear being misunderstood, unseen, unloved. So we try to control everything, hoping the world will finally give us what we want. But the truth? The world won't bend to your grip. Because it was never meant to. Life was never built to be controlled. It was built to be responded to. And that's the real shift Stoicism invites you to make. Not to become passive, but to become precise. To stop wasting your time and energy trying to fix what's outside of you, and start investing that energy into mastering what's within you. Socrates said, "Know thyself." Not control everything. Not predict the future. Not micromanage the universe. Know yourself, because that's where the real power lives. Not in making the world obey you, but in knowing who you are when it doesn't. And that's real freedom. Not the loud, flashy kind, but the steady, grounded kind. The kind that shows up when you stop fighting every current and start learning how to swim with presence. So, what does it look like when you stop trying to control everything? It's not about giving up or becoming passive. It's about choosing what to hold on to and what to let go of. It's about accepting what is, rather than fighting it or wishing it were different. We all know how tiring it is when life doesn't go the way we want. When a plan falls apart. When a person disappoints us. When things just don't line up. But what if the exhaustion you feel, that weight on your shoulders, is not because of life itself, but because you're holding on to something you're not meant to? What if the true burden is not from reality, but from resisting it? Let's face it, we all live in our heads far more than we live in the moment. We replay conversations. We imagine future scenarios. We carry emotions that belong to someone else. We hold on to anger, resentment, fear, all because we think we have to. But guess what? That's not life. That's storytelling. We get stuck in stories about the past, future, or other people's opinions. We rehearse arguments that never happened. We craft responses to situations that haven't even occurred. We obsess over other people's moods, actions, or mistakes. And what does all that leave us with? A headache, a stomach ache, a mental fog. That's not living. That's carrying a weight that doesn't even belong to you. But the truth is, you can let it go. You don't have to hold onto other people's emotions. You don't have to carry their anger, their disappointment, their expectations. You don't have to be their emotional sponge. And you definitely don't have to control how everything turns out. Because here's the thing. True peace doesn't come from controlling the world around you. It comes from accepting that you can't. The Stoics weren't teaching us to ignore reality. They weren't telling us to give up when things go wrong. They were telling us to accept what we cannot control and focus on what we can. And the key to that is this: your thoughts, your reactions, your choices. So when life feels like it's slipping out of your hands, stop. First, take a deep breath. Ask yourself, where is my control right now? If it's in your thoughts, your next step, your attitude, then focus on that. If it's in the situation itself or someone else's actions, then let it go. Because trying to control it is like trying to hold onto water with your bare hands. It will slip through, no matter how tightly you squeeze. The Stoics understood that life isn't about bending everything to your will. It's about aligning yourself with what's in your control and releasing the rest. So what would it look like to accept things as they are? Not as you wish they were, not as you hoped they would be, but as they truly are. To accept that someone is angry with you, without feeling the need to fix it. To accept that a plan fell apart, without feeling like you failed. To accept that the world is unpredictable, without trying to predict everything. That kind of acceptance isn't weakness. It's clarity. It's strength. Acceptance doesn't mean you like what's happening. It doesn't mean you have to agree with it. It doesn't mean you've given up. It simply means you've stopped fighting what is. And that's where the peace begins. Because once you stop resisting reality, you free yourself from the mental chains you've been holding onto. You stop fighting the past. You stop worrying about the future. You stop trying to control every outcome. You just accept. And from that place of acceptance, you get to choose what happens next. You get to choose how you respond. You get to choose how you live. It's no longer about trying to fix everything or make life bend to your will. It's about mastering yourself, your thoughts, your reactions, your energy. Socrates said, "Know thyself." And that's the foundation of everything. If you know yourself, you know where your power lies, And where it doesn't, you start to realize that the only real control you have is over how you show up in the world. It's about mastering the way you think, the way you react, the way you choose to move through life. And when you do that, you don't need to control every detail. You don't need to manipulate every person. You just need to be clear about who you are and how you choose to respond. So if you've been fighting the current, if you've been trying to control everything, if you've been holding on to things that aren't yours to carry, it's time to let go. It's time to step into a new way of living. A way that's grounded, a way that's clear, and a way that, most importantly, is free. So, what happens when you stop fighting the current? When you stop trying to control everything around you and instead start to focus on mastering the one thing that you actually have power over, yourself. That's when you find your peace. And let me tell you, this peace is not about ignoring the mess around you. It's not about pretending things are perfect when they're not. It's about choosing how you respond, rather than being swept away by everything that's happening. The shift? It's not passive. It's not about sitting back and letting life happen to you. It's about becoming active in how you approach life, how you meet each challenge with clarity, intention, and strength. The Stoics weren't about passive resignation. They were about active acceptance. They taught us to lean into the discomfort, to face the uncertainty, and to meet chaos with calm. Because life, by its very nature, is chaotic. It's messy. It's unpredictable. And yet, we spend so much of our time and energy trying to control it. But control, especially the illusion of control, only leads to frustration, exhaustion, and a sense of being drained. You end up feeling like you're constantly chasing something that's just out of reach, trying to hold on to things that can't be held. That's why the real power doesn't come from bending life to your will. It comes from understanding what you can control. Your thoughts, your reactions, your actions, and letting go of the rest. Think about it for a second. How often do you feel drained after a day, even when nothing major happened? It's not the physical exhaustion that wears you down. It's the mental and emotional load you've been carrying all day. You've probably carried someone else's stress, someone else's mood, someone else's expectations. And none of that is actually yours to carry. That's the trick, right? We end up carrying other people's burdens, other people's worries, other people's emotional baggage, because we think it's our responsibility. But here's the truth. It's not. What's yours to carry? Your own thoughts, your own choices, your own responses. That's it. And the beauty of it is that once you realize what's really yours to hold, the weight of life starts to lift. You stop trying to manage everything and everyone. You stop trying to be the solution to every problem. And you start living in a way that's aligned with what you can control. This doesn't mean you stop caring. It doesn't mean you withdraw from the world or become detached from people. It just means you stop pouring your energy into things that aren't yours to manage. Imagine how much lighter you would feel if you let go of the mental and emotional weight that doesn't belong to you. Imagine how much more you could accomplish if you stopped spending your time and energy on what you can't control and instead focused it on mastering yourself. That's the power of self-mastery. And it doesn't happen overnight. It's a practice. It's a habit. It's a series of decisions made day by day, moment by moment. Every time you choose to pause before reacting. Every time you choose to breathe instead of spiraling into worry. Every time you choose silence instead of argument. Every time you choose to walk away from chaos instead of feeding it. Those small choices? They build something strong inside you. Something unshakable. And that strength doesn't come from trying to control everything around you. It comes from knowing that no matter what happens, you can always control how you respond. Socrates said, "Know thyself." And that's where the power lies. When you know yourself, when you understand where your control ends and where your peace begins, that's when you start living with intention. That's when you stop being a victim of circumstances and you start becoming the creator of your own experience. Because the truth is, life is going to throw challenges your way. People will disappoint you. Plans will fall through. You will face struggles, pain, and loss. But none of that has to define you. What defines you is how you choose to respond. And that response? It's where your true power lies. So the next time life throws you a curveball, instead of panicking or trying to control everything, stop and ask yourself, what's mine to carry here? And when you figure that out, you'll realize that everything else doesn't need your energy. That's the shift that Stoicism invites you to make. Not to fight life, but to flow with it. Not to resist reality, but to respond with clarity and strength. Because that's where your true freedom lies. Let's take a moment to dive deeper into this idea of response versus reaction. It's crucial because it's at the heart of Stoic philosophy, and it's where so many of us miss the mark in our everyday lives. So what's the difference between reacting and responding? Reaction is fast. It's automatic. It's emotional. It's the knee-jerk response that we have when something happens. It's often driven by pride, ego, and past experiences. Think about the last time someone cut you off in traffic. How did you react? Did you curse? Did you slam your hands on the wheel? Did your heart rate spike? That's reaction. Now think about the last time someone said something rude to you. How did you respond? Did you pause before speaking? Did you take a moment to ask yourself if their words were about you or something they were struggling with? That's response. Reaction happens quickly, without thinking, without pause, and without awareness. It's impulsive. It's driven by your instincts and emotions, often without any clear intention behind it. Response, on the other hand, is slow. It's deliberate. It's intentional. When you respond, you create space between what happens and how you act. And in that space, there's power. Here's the thing. Most people don't take that space. They react immediately, driven by their feelings, their thoughts, their fears. But the Stoics taught us that it's in that space, between stimulus and response, that we find our true power. Because that's where choice lives. When you're not reacting automatically, but instead, responding with intention, you start to see things more clearly. You stop making everything personal. You stop taking offense at every little thing. You stop getting tangled in other people's emotional messes. You start noticing what's really going on, instead of being swept up in the chaos of your emotions. And this, my friends, is where the real freedom comes from. Freedom isn't about getting rid of all the chaos in the world. It's about learning how to live in the chaos without letting it control you. When you choose how to respond, you regain control over your inner world. You stop letting your thoughts, your emotions, or someone else's words dictate your peace. This doesn't mean you ignore your emotions. It doesn't mean you suppress them or pretend they don't exist. It means you choose to engage with them in a way that serves you. So, when you feel that instant urge to react, to fire back, to snap, to defend yourself, pause. Take a deep breath. Step back for a second. Ask yourself, is this really about me, or is this something I don't need to carry? Because the truth is, most of the time, it's not about you. It's about them. It's about their mood, their stress, their pain. And when you recognize that, you stop letting their emotions dictate your own. This takes practice. It's not easy, and it doesn't happen overnight. But each time you choose to respond rather than react, you strengthen that muscle of self-control. You get better at choosing your actions, your words, your thoughts, instead of letting them choose you. The Stoics understood this. They knew that the only true power you have is over your own mind, your own reactions. As Marcus Aurelius said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. The more you practice this, the more you choose to respond with awareness instead of reacting from impulse, the more you begin to shape your life. And the more you shape your life, the more you realize that peace isn't something you find in perfect circumstances. It's something you create from within. You begin to see that peace doesn't come from controlling everything outside you. It comes from mastering the way you meet life, moment by moment. And that mastery? It doesn't come from avoiding the hard stuff. It comes from engaging with life as it is, not as you wish it would be. Because that's where true strength is born. In the moments when life doesn't go your way. In the moments when someone disappoints you. In the moments when everything feels chaotic. That's when you have the opportunity to show up for yourself, not with control, but with clarity. Not with resistance, but with resilience. And it's in those moments that you create a life worth living. Let's talk about letting go for a minute. I know it sounds like one of those phrases we throw around when we're trying to make ourselves feel better. But I promise, it's not just some fluffy advice. It's a practice. It's an art. And it's one that can change the way you move through the world. The challenge is this. We often don't realize how much we're holding on to. We don't realize how many things we're carrying that don't belong to us. Things that we have no power over, but still try to control. Take a moment and think. How many conversations have you replayed in your head today? How many times have you imagined what someone else thinks of you? How many times have you worried about something that hasn't even happened yet? And how often have you felt drained, mentally, emotionally, even physically, because of it? The truth is, a lot of what we carry isn't ours to hold. It's someone else's opinion. It's a past mistake. It's an imagined future. But we're carrying it anyway. We're trying to fix things that aren't broken, repair things that can't be fixed, and control things that aren't ours to control. This is where Stoicism offers a different approach. It teaches us to identify what's really ours to carry, and to let go of the rest. When you let go of the things that drain your energy, you make space for what truly matters. You free yourself from the burden of trying to control the uncontrollable. And in that space, you find your peace. Think about it. When you stop trying to fix everything, you give yourself the freedom to just be. When you stop carrying other people's emotional baggage, you lighten your load. When you stop fighting reality, you start to experience life as it really is, and that's when clarity sets in. But here's the catch. Letting go isn't easy. It's not something that happens overnight. It's a decision you make over and over again. It's a conscious choice to not engage with every thought that comes your way. It's a choice to not carry every emotional weight that's thrown at you. It's a choice to pause, breathe, and ask yourself, is this mine to carry? And if it's not, let it go. This doesn't mean you stop caring. It doesn't mean you become cold or indifferent to the people around you. It means you stop taking on what's not yours. It means you stop letting someone else's problem become your problem. And here's the beautiful thing about letting go. It frees up your energy. It creates space in your mind. It gives you the clarity to focus on what truly matters. Your thoughts, your actions, your growth. Every time you let go of what you can't control, you make room for something better. Every time you choose to release the pressure of perfection, you make room for peace. And that peace? It's not the absence of problems or challenges. It's the ability to move through those challenges with grace, with strength, and with clarity. It's the ability to navigate the ups and downs of life without losing your sense of self. It's the ability to stay grounded when everything around you feels unstable. Letting go isn't about giving up. It's about gaining something far more important, your peace. This is the Stoic way. Not to fight life. Not to resist reality. But to accept it as it is, and to choose to respond with intention. The world doesn't need you to fix everything. It doesn't need you to control every outcome. It just needs you to show up as you are, and to respond with clarity. And when you do that, you'll realize something profound. You don't need to hold on to everything to find peace. You just need to let go of what's not yours to carry. Now that we've explored the power of acceptance, the importance of response over reaction, and the practice of letting go, there's one final piece to this puzzle. It's the core of Stoicism, and the most powerful shift you can make in your life. It's about clarity. Clarity is not just about seeing things clearly, it's about knowing where you stand. It's about understanding what matters most to you, what you can influence, and what you can't. When you have clarity, you stop being controlled by the noise of life. You stop reacting to every situation. You stop letting your circumstances dictate your emotions. Instead, you begin to respond with intention. You begin to move with purpose, not just through the motions of life. This is the heart of Stoic philosophy. To live with clarity. To know yourself, your values, your boundaries, and your purpose. And when you know these things, you can stop letting the chaos of life pull you in every direction. You can stop giving your energy to things that don't serve you, things that aren't yours to control. Clarity isn't something you find by forcing the world to match your expectations. It's something you find by accepting the world as it is and choosing how you meet it. This shift in perspective is everything. It's the freedom to choose how you respond to life, rather than letting life choose for you. It's the freedom to be present in the moment, without being lost in your thoughts or consumed by your worries. But here's the catch. Clarity requires focus. It requires discipline. It requires you to regularly ask yourself, what is mine to control? What is mine to carry? And most importantly, what do I need to let go of? When you practice this regularly, you build a life that isn't dictated by fear, anxiety, or external circumstances. You build a life that's grounded in your values, in your peace, and in your ability to respond with intention. This is where true strength lies. Not in controlling everything, but in knowing how to respond to whatever life throws at you. As Marcus Aurelius said, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. When you focus your thoughts on what you can control, your reactions, your mindset, your actions, you create a world where you are not a victim of circumstances. You are the creator of your own peace. That's where the power lies. Not in controlling others, not in fixing everything, but in mastering yourself. And as you continue on this journey, one small step at a time, you'll realize that you are capable of handling whatever comes your way. Not by controlling the world around you, but by mastering the way you approach it. The Stoic way is not about avoiding pain or hardship. It's about meeting those moments with clarity, with peace, and with strength. So, the next time you face a challenge, a disappointment, or an obstacle, ask yourself, where is my control right now? And if it's within you, your thoughts, your responses, your actions, then that's where you can focus your energy. Everything else? Let it go. Because true strength doesn't come from controlling life. It comes from mastering the way you live it. And when you do that, when you finally step into that kind of clarity and peace, you'll realize that you've always had the power. It was never about controlling the world. It was always about controlling how you meet it. So, here's to living with more clarity. Here's to letting go of the things that drain you, and embracing the strength that comes from knowing what's yours to carry. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If this message resonated with you, remember, you have the power to live with more clarity, more intention, and more peace. And as always, when life gets overwhelming, come back to this space. We're always here to help you reset and find your way back to yourself.